Okay, so ready for this. Today, we're going deep, like really deep, into this insane estate in the Hamptons.
Insane is putting it mildly.
No, really, this place is seriously next level. We're talking bigger than the White House.
You know what they say? Everything's bigger in Texas. Well, except for this house. It's in the Hamptons, and it makes everything else look like a shoebox.
Right. This isn't just some McMansion. This is like mega mansion to the max.
Yeah.
But get this, it's not just the size that's wild. There's this whole legal battle tied to it. Family drama, the whole shebang.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, we're talking accusations of misused funds, court cases, the whole 9 yards. It's a wild ride, trust me.
Okay, I am so ready for this. But first, let's back up a bit. Who exactly decided to build their own personal Versailles out in the Hamptons?
So that would be Ira Renner. Ever heard of him?
Rings a bell, but I can't quite place him.
Yeah, he's not exactly a household name, unless your household regularly discusses, you know, billionaire financiers.
Ah, okay, got it. So we're talking serious money here.
Oh, more than you can imagine. I mean, estimates for this place, Fairfield, it's called Fairfield, range from $267 million to $500 million.
You're kidding. $500 million.
Yeah, not exactly chump change.
No, for that much money, you could buy your own island. Maybe even a small country.
Right. But Renner, he wanted his own slice of paradise right there in the Hamptons. And that's where things get really interesting because it wasn't just about the money, it was about how he got it.
Okay, spill the tea. What went down?
So imagine this. It's the late 90s, the economy is booming, and Renner is building Fairfield.
Okay, I'm picturing it. What does it look like? I mean, besides being huge, obviously.
Well, we're talking 110,000 square feet.
If-
That's bigger than the White House.
Seriously, for one family.
Oh, yeah. And get this. It's on 63 acres in Sagaponack.
Sagaponack, that's prime Hamptons real estate.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Ocean views, you name it, he's got it. But here's where it gets messy. See, Renner was accused of using, let's say, questionable funds for this project.
Questionable, meaning?
Think to the tune of almost $120 million, allegedly taken from his own company, MagCorp.
Oh, no, that's not good. Wait, so he built his dream house with money that wasn't his?
Allegedly, yes.
Yeah.
And to make matters worse, MagCorp wasn't exactly thriving at the time. They were actually struggling, even facing bankruptcy at one point.
Oh, wow. So while his employees are worried about their paychecks, their boss is building himself a palace.
Basically. It all came to a head in court, and let's just say it didn't go well for Renner.
Yeah.
The court found him liable and ordered him to pay over $213 million in damages,
$213 million, that's a lot of money.
to say the least. But money aside, this whole saga really tarnished his reputation. I mean, can you imagine building your dream home only to have it become the symbol of, well, corporate greed?
Talk about a PR nightmare. So what does this mega mansion actually look like?
Well, it's a trip, that's for sure. Imagine, if you will, sleek, modern lines on the outside, huge windows, tons of natural light.
Okay, so far so good. Sounds pretty standard for a Hamptons mansion, at least.
Right, but then you step inside, and boom. It's like you walked into a palace from another era.
Wait, seriously, like gold-plated faucets, velvet curtains, that kind of thing?
Think more like a two-story foyer, a grand staircase that seems to go on forever. It's this weird mix of modern and classic, all mashed together in this over-the-top way.
So basically, like if Marie Antoinette had a Pinterest board and unlimited funds?
Exactly.
Okay, but come on, a house that big, it can't just be a foyer and a staircase, right? What about the rest of it?
Oh, we're just getting started. Buckle up, because this place has more amenities than you can shake a stick at. We're talking 29 bedrooms.
29. That's like a small hotel. Who needs that many bedrooms?
And that's not all. Try 39 bathrooms. 39. You could host a small convention in there.
Seriously, I get lost in my own house with 2 bathrooms. Imagine trying to find your way back from, like, bathroom number 27.
And wait till you hear this. It's got a 164-seat theater. I mean, who needs to go to the movies when you can have your own private screening room? Right.
Right. We're talking Hollywood premiere level stuff here.
Oh, absolutely. And that's just the tip of the iceberg. We're talking a bowling alley, squash courts, a spa that's probably bigger than my entire apartment.
Hold on. A bowling alley? Now that's just showing off.
Right. And as if that wasn't enough, there's a garage that can fit 100 cars.
100 cars. Does he have a different car for every day of the year?
Pretty much. But it's not just about practicality here. We're talking about sending a message. It's about saying, look what I can do, look what I have.
It's like they say, if you're rich, you have a wine cellar. If you're really rich, you have a bowling alley.
Exactly. But even with all that, they still managed to squeeze in some classic Hamptons extravagance, multiple swimming pools, tennis courts that wouldn't be out of place at Wimbledon.
This place sounds more like a resort than a home.
Oh, absolutely. It's designed to be a self-contained world of luxury, a private oasis away from, well, everything and everyone.
Which I guess makes sense when you consider the whole legal battle surrounding it. I mean, it's not every day you hear about someone using their company's funds to build their dream home.
Yeah, that whole MagCorp situation really put a damper on things.
Speaking of which, I'm a little fuzzy on the details there. What kind of company was MagCorp, and how did this whole thing even come to light?
So MagCorp, they were a big conglomerate involved in everything from mining to manufacturing. But here's the thing. While Renard was busy building Fairfield, his company was going through a rough patch. They were losing money, facing lawsuits, even teetering on the brink of bankruptcy.
Oh, wow. So while his employees were worried about their jobs, he was off building his own personal Xanadu.
Essentially. And that's what made this whole thing so controversial. As a CEO, you're supposed to be looking out for your company, your investors, your employees. Using company funds for your own personal gain? Not a good look.
Not a good look at all. So how did it all go down? Did someone blow the whistle?
It was a whole legal process, investigations, lawsuits, the whole 9 yards. Eventually, a court ruled that Renard had indeed used company funds to build Fairfield and ordered him to pay a hefty sum in damages.
Which is where that $213 million figure comes in.
Bingo. But more than the money, it was the damage to his reputation. It became a whole symbol of corporate greed, a cautionary tale about the dangers of unchecked ambition.
It's kind of tragic, actually. You have this incredible house, this architectural marvel, but it's forever tainted by the circumstances surrounding its creation.
I know, right? It's a reminder that even the most beautiful things can have a dark side.
So we've got this mega mansion built with potentially questionable funds, owned by a guy who's now known for this huge financial scandal. How did the neighbors feel about all this? I mean, having this giant estate right in your backyard must come with some mixed emotions.
Yeah, it's interesting because Fairfield kind of sparked this whole debate about the changing landscape of the Hamptons. Well, the Hamptons have always been a playground for the wealthy, but the sheer scale of Fairfield, the audacity of it all, it just rubbed some people the wrong way.
Like it was a step too far.
Exactly. It became this symbol of excess, of this growing divide between the haves and the have-nots.
And I'm guessing not everyone in the Hamptons are haves.
Exactly. And it started this whole conversation about the impact of these mega mansions on the community. Do they drive up property values? Do they strain local resources? Do they change the character of the community?
These are questions a lot of communities are grappling with, not just the Hamptons. It's like, where do you draw the line between individual freedom and the well-being of the community as a whole?
Exactly. And it's a question with no easy answers,
Hmm.
but it's a conversation worth having.
Absolutely. So we've talked about the legal drama, the community impact, but there's this other layer to Fairfield that I find fascinating, and it's the psychology behind it all.
Oh, absolutely. It makes you wonder, what drives someone to build a house like this?
I mean, is it about legacy, security, or is it something else entirely, like a need for control?
Maybe it's a bit of everything.
Yeah.
Think about it. In a world that feels increasingly chaotic and uncertain, what could be more appealing than creating your own little universe? A place where you're in control of everything.
It's like building your own personal escape room, but instead of puzzles, it's just endless luxury.
Right. But luxury can be a trap too, can't it? I mean, at what point does a house become so big, so excessive, that it stops feeling like a home?
That's a good question. It makes you wonder what it would be like to live in a place like Fairfield. Would you feel like a king in your castle, or would you just feel lost?
I think I'd feel overwhelmed, honestly. Give me a cozy cabin in the woods any day. But to each their own right.
Right. Speaking of which, if you had unlimited funds, what would you build? Would you go the Fairfield route?
Me? No way. Honestly, I think I'd be more interested in building something that could benefit others, you know?
Ugh.
Like, what about funding a community center? Or creating a scholarship program for underprivileged students?
See, that's what I would do. Imagine the good you could do with that kind of money.
Right. It's about using your resources to make a real difference, to leave a positive mark on the world.
And that brings us back to Renner and his legacy. He built Fairfield as this testament to his success, but how will it be remembered? As this architectural marvel? Or as a symbol of excess and corporate greed?
It's hard to say. I mean, you can't erase history. And the controversy surrounding Fairfield, it's always going to be part of its story.
It's a reminder that our actions have consequences. And sometimes those consequences can overshadow even our grandest achievements.
So true. It's a lesson we could all stand to remember whether we're building mega mansions or just trying to navigate our daily lives.
Well said. Well, that was quite the deep dive. From opulent amenities to ethical dilemmas, we've covered it all.
We've definitely given everyone a lot to think about.
For sure. For those of you listening, thanks for coming along on this journey with us. We hope you're leaving with a better understanding of the story behind Fairfield and maybe even a few questions of your own. Remember, there's always more than meets the eye, especially when it comes to these stories of wealth and extravagance. Until next time, keep exploring, keep questioning, and keep diving deep.